Court. I'm Gregory Beatty. In the place to be, Grade A Media, Grade A Radio. Somebody's at the door. What's up with it? What's up with it? What's up with it? Hey, all day, baby. What's going on this Tuesday? On this Tuesday evening, Skrillerilla. What's going on, man?
Special shout out
Make sure
to
I'm all right.
Sports Court, man. One
All
of the
day.
best sports podcasts around.
That's my man right there. Telling it like it is right there. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Now let me make sure. Am I live and direct, Skrillerilla? Am I live and direct? Let me make sure, man. Let me share it as soon as I see it on here. Y'all hold tight. Hold tight. Rolling. In the place to be. Skrill, I was just at a Gwil. You got Gwil in the house as well. Grade A Media, Grade A Radio. You listen to the Sports Court. I'm Gregory Beatty. The show that keep it 100% of the time.
Hi, everybody.
That's Gwil right there. In the place to be. In the place to be. We kicking it on this Tuesday evening. You know, the devil tried to keep us away with this rain, Skrilla. But that wasn't happening, Gwil. That was not happening. It is on. It is on. I hope y'all got receipts for that food. You know, everybody right now these days, they like to ask you when you go through the drive-thru, after you get your food, they don't give you a receipt. They be like, and then you tell them you want your receipt, they look at you like you crazy. Like, you want a receipt? Like, yeah, I want a receipt. What's going on these days where they don't think you want a receipt? Anytime I use my card, anytime, give me a receipt. Fast food or whatever. If I pay some cash, that's a different story. I want a receipt. Give me my food with no receipt. Just off the chain. Let me see. But hold on real quick for a second. Let me do a few things right here real quick. Hold tight. Got a lot to talk about. The NFL, of course. NBA, you name it. All that. But again, you listen to the Sports Court. I'm Gregory Beatty, the guy that invented the Swisher Crave. Hey, I was just messing with Skrilla. Blast from the past right here. What's up with it, boy? Blast from the past right here. You know, I wouldn't say it's something to brag about in the sense that we were talking about swishers and all this and that. I'm like, man, I invented the Swisher Crave. Check this out real quick before I get rolling. Again, have a lot to talk about NFL. Going to talk about those chump Cowboys for sure. Stay tuned for that and a lot more NFL. Of course, the NFC and the AFC championship games will be played this weekend to see who's going to play for it all in the Super Bowl. But back like 1991, something like that. Actually, it's pretty cool right now, man. It feels good out there. You good? Nah, I don't. I'm good. Appreciate you though, boy. Appreciate that. Hey, and I was teasing them out there. I was like, I'm the one that invented the Swisher Crave, But check it out. A lot of my boys to this day, or a few of them still that remember, still talk about this from time to time. But back in the day, I was at Ohio State. I came home one time for a break. And, of course, when we were in Columbus, every now and then we would go, when we were doing our thing. I was a lot younger back then. When we were doing our thing, I would pick up Swishers. It was either Philly Blunts or Swishers. Or even at the time, it was Backwood. But it was mostly Philly Blunts, Swishers. Then, of course, dump the tobacco out and do what you have to do, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But so I'm home for break one time, and like I said, when I was in Columbus from time to time, I would just pick up Swishers. Hey, shoot, are you out of Phillies? Swishers. Okay, that's how we would roll. And I'll pick up the Swishers. So get home, kicking it with some fellas. I'm talking about some fellas. I won't call no names, of course. This was 1991, 1992, something like that. And I come with some Swishers. And I'm talking about some dudes that's on the scene, too. And I come with some Swishers. And I'm talking about they must have laughed me out of, man, GB coming with Swishers? What's this, Swishers? Man, we don't smoke no Swishers. I'm like, try it out, check it out, for real. Swishers. So for about 30 minutes, the joke was I came back with some swishers. I came back with some swishers. Next thing you know, I come back a few months later, or whenever it was, maybe that summer or whatever, 3 to 6 months later, I come back home. Everything swisher this, swisher this, swisher that, swisher house this. People on the radio talking about swisher this, swisher. I'm like, nah. Give me credit for inventing that swisher crave. It was a joke when I brought the swishers. When I came back with the swishers the last time I was at home, it was a joke. Now all I'm seeing and all I'm people selling swishers. I got swishers for $5. Swisher this, swisher that. I'm like, swisher this. I invented that crave. And that's real. That's real. Everything swisher. Swisher this, swisher that. I'm like, no. It was a big joke the last time I was at home about swishers. Tried to tell you. I know y'all went and put it on the scene after I left. Credit me for that. I tell some of these youngsters these days, credit me for that swisher crave. Again, I don't know if, I'm just saying. Blast from the past right there. The past right there. So that's what's up. But hey, again, a lot going on. Before I get rolling, again, I'm Gregory Beatty. They call me the KID, the kid. I'm Gregory Beatty in the place to be. And Grade A Media, Grade A Radio. Hey, I see this real quick. Tidbits. I know Eddie Cox will probably love this, who will be in here at some point soon, still dealing with his job, crazy hours, things of that sort. Maybe next week, maybe not. But he's welcomed, definitely, when he's able to come in, of course, get Eddie's take on things. I know I really want to know his take on the Bill O'Brien situation. Bill O'Brien being hired as the Pats offensive coordinator. So he's back in the NFL, making his way from Tuscaloosa under the great Nick Saban. So he's back in the NFL, back with the Pats. You know, Bill O'Brien actually got famous for the time he went off on Tom Brady on the sideline. And it's like, who is this guy standing up to Tom Brady? Oh, it's the offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien. And so that's when Bill O'Brien was born right there. When he went off on the GOAT, the greatest of all time, on the sideline, gave him a piece of his mind, did not back down from him. Next thing you know, he's this guru. Of course, he was coaching Tom Brady. Had some success, obviously, with the Patriots. Went to Bama, had some success. Of course, formerly of the Houston Texans as an NFL head coach. We'll talk about the Texans again at another point. At some point soon, we'll talk about the Texans and who they may hire as coach. We'll see who they decide to hire for that garbage franchise. We'll see about that, who they decide to hire to be their fourth coach in 4 years. Of course, we all know Lovie Smith and David Culley. They were used as scapegoats and suckers. Paid suckers, by the way. Paid suckers. But they was used as suckers. Got them out of here. But Bill O'Brien, formerly of the Houston Texans, again, as head coach, we don't need to retract that right now. It's not enough time. But we all know what a debacle that was at the end of the day. Had some bright moments. Had some damn good moments at Alabama. You know, was it the receivers? Was it the talent? I mean, you look at Alabama. Man, I was just looking at ESPN 300 high school, the top 300 high school players that's going to be entering college next season. And it's the 247 Sports, I think it was. And Bama is racking up again. Now, everybody might say, well, Georgia just won a national championship. Of course, Georgia has their 5-star players in there. Of course, Ohio State has theirs sprinkled in there as well. That's every year. That's every year. UT has a couple, has a few, has a number of them. A&M. But Bama, I mean, you look, all you see is Alabama, Alabama, Alabama. From 9 through 12, Alabama. Then you go to 15 to 16, Alabama. Then you scroll a little bit further, Bama, Bama, Bama. I mean, Bama, the talent that they have on that squad and the talent that they continue to accumulate is second to none. It's unprecedented. I mean, it's crazy what Nick Saban is doing as far as he's already cemented himself as the best coach of all time, the best college coach of all time since he stepped foot at Bama. What has he won? 7 national championships total. I know he won one with LSU. But come on, man. The job he continues to do at Bama. So was Bill O'Brien a product of the system? A product of that tremendous, superb recruiting and talent that's on display every year in Tuscaloosa? But we shall see. Now he's back with New England. Going to get a chance to coach a young quarterback from Bama, who they just drafted in the first round a couple years ago. So, hey, he has some familiarity with him in that regard. And they have a true offense coordinator now. So we shall see what he can do for Bill Belichick, one of 3 coaches to have 31 postseason victories. Well, one of 3 coaches to have over 20. Of course, the other 2, now one is Andy Reid from that victory the other day against Jacksonville. And, of course, Tom Landry had 20. So Bill Belichick now has an offensive coordinator to run that offense, get guys where they're supposed to be. You don't have Matt Patricia, a defensive coach, and have defensive and special team coaches coaching the offense now. Now you really give these offensive players and the young QB a chance to grow and develop behind a real offensive coordinator. So Bill O'Brien is back in the NFL. Bill O'Brien is back in the NFL, and you all have heard me. You all have heard me again. You listen to the Sports Court. I'm Gregory Beatty, the show where we keep it 100% of the time. But real quick, going to talk some NBA before I get out of here today. The NBA is still secondary to the NFL right now. Obviously, the NFL still has a couple of more games to play. The championship games this upcoming weekend, along with the Super Bowl, of course. But Jalen Green put up 42 last night. Second 40-point game. A couple of tidbits right here, real quick. Of course, the Rockets are in the bottom of the bottom as far as the record is concerned. Hope they get that number 1 pick, though. But I still, like I say all the time, I still love the core that they have, and they're still worth mentioning because of the core, because of Jalen Green, who you all have heard me say a number of times, is the next Kobe. And I don't say that lightly. My favorite player of all time, Kobe Bryant. I mean, the King was a bad boy, too. Magic, too. A lot of players I like. Shaq was a bad boy. I mean, I can go on and on and on. Favorite player ever is Kobe, though. I think Jalen Green is the next Kobe Bryant. You know how people always say such and such is the next Kobe, was the next Jordan. Grant Hill is the next Jordan. Harold Miner was the next Jordan, allegedly. We all know what happened with that, but he wasn't. No knock against Harold Miner. Great high school player. And I go on and on about who's the next Jordan. Jalen Green is the next Kobe. And yeah, I'm talking about a Rockets team, but the core, the reason I'm excited about their future, again, I still at this point do not think that Silas should be the coach of this team. And hey, I'm just keeping it 100. I know it's hard for brothers to get jobs in certain positions like that. And I'm happy for him if he succeeds, turns this thing around. And if they feel he's the guy for the job, hey, it's their money. Go ahead. But when I watch the Rockets play, before I get into some NFL talk, when I watch the Rockets play, it's the same thing over and over. Constant mistakes over and over. No one being held accountable. Turnovers, I'm talking about turnovers like it's like turnovers about to go out of style or something. I mean, are you serious? Sometimes I sit there and watch. I mean, I have to turn the channel sometimes watching the Rockets because you see all that core talent and you see the upside of this team with Sengun, Alperen Sengun, who's probably the next Jokic. And that's saying a lot. We all know how great Jokic is. Probably on pace to win his third straight MVP award. Sengun, Kevin Porter Jr. You got Jayshawn Tate back. I mean, I can go on and on and on. I mean, you still have Eric Gordon doing this thing. You have Jabari Smith Jr. Then if you get the number 1 pick with Victor Wembanyama to go along with Jalen Green, Sengun, KPJ, a lot of those backups that they have, a lot of depth too, a lot of talented depth as well. But again, I said all that to say this. I don't know if Silas is the guy for that team because I don't see them improving. Now, you can say, oh, well, they're under 20 years old. If you look at that roster, they're under 20. Like my boy BT. Yeah, BT. Me and him go back and forth all the time about this. Now, here's the coach. They're young. You're expecting too much from them. I said, no, I'm not. I'm just expecting to see some improvement, especially on things like that as far as that's one thing. That's one thing. I was talking about coaching last week when I coached high school football. That's one thing that really, when I really took it there and went off, was either when you're not hustling, not working hard, not hustling, and making the same mistake over and over and over. That's when I turn into, damn, crazy Coach Beatty. Because other than that, I was one of those guys who was more about encouragement, teaching, motivating, trying to bring the best out of you. I didn't feel it was a need to always, anytime somebody dropped a pass or did something, to just, tear them apart. But again, if it's the same mistake over and over, and you're not hustling, that's when I would go there. And I used to see some of those coaches sometimes, they'll just be out there, oh man, they thought they were either Bill Parcells or everybody was trying to be Bill Parcells or Vince Lombardi. You're going to cuss them out. You're going to teach them every curse word in the book. Okay, that's your style? Okay, cool. That's your style. I don't see them responding to that. I used to have players used to come up to me talking about, Coach Beatty, you're a real coach, man. You're a real coach. You're a real coach. And not taking anything away from those guys. There was some damn good coaches on that team. But I used to sit back in amazement and just at practice sometimes and just watch how it would, like they would just curse some of these players out unnecessarily for no reason. And the players wouldn't respond to that for the most part. It's some that you can do that to, and that's how they might respond. They might respond to that. But you have to pick and choose. I'll never forget, before I get back to the Rockets and all this and that, I haven't forgot where I was with that. I'm making a point. But before, it was one time a learning experience for me. And, I was feeling good. And one of the receivers on the team, who I liked a lot, talented, never made it to college football, wasn't the fastest guy in the world, super quick feet, could catch anything, but used to mess around in practice a lot and lack some concentration at times. But I remember he dropped like about 3 passes in a row, 3 or 4 passes. He was having a bad game. And I remember I was on the sideline, he was on the bench, and the stands was right there behind the bench. And I'll admit, I was mad at him. Being a former receiver, of course, and with me feeling like I could catch a BB in the dark, I could catch anything that comes my way. Anybody that tells you about me back in the day in high school or college or whatever said I could pluck them. I could pluck them with the best of them, seriously. Anything in my vicinity. Give me that. Give me that. Give me that. That's mine. But he dropped like 3 or 4 passes in a row, and I just went off. I just went off. Instead of motivating him, he actually went into a funk. He just folded and I lost him for the rest of the game, you know. But I thought about it after the fact. I said, you know what? I got to know each one of these guys' personality, which I did. And you know who you could really get forceful with and who you can. I realized at that time with him, I probably should have went and consoled him more. He was just having a bad game. Had a good season, but he was just having a bad game. Everyone is not going to have a great game every game. But the thing that kind of irked me with him was he would mess around and practice a lot. But still in all, I still said to myself after that, okay, maybe with him I should have taken a different approach, tried to lift him up like I like to do anyway, instead of just going over there trying to show out in front of the home stands that was over there behind me. And show that I'm this coach that'll really get after these guys, which I do. But like I said, I was never the guy that actually felt I had to do that to prove something. I'll never forget, the head coach called me in there one time, and I've told this story before, I think a while back. The head coach called me in there one time after I first started coaching with him. Be like, man, hey, I need you to get on these guys' ass more. Right? I said, Coach, let me tell you, I know what I'm doing. I said, now this was like a few days after I got there and started coaching. I said, Coach, I know what I'm doing. I said, you have your style, I have mine. I said, of course, I'm going to adhere to the rules, your rules that you set with you being the head coach. But I said, you have your style, I have my style. By maybe like second or third game of the season, they're all complimenting me. Players, he saw the way the players were responding to me, the way I was coaching those guys up, the way I would pick and choose my spots when to go off. He said, okay, I got it. But I had to let him know right off the jump. And you know, my reason is everybody don't respond to that. So, excuse me. So I'm saying all this about the Rockets and Silas. Now, I don't know what he does in practice. I don't know if he's really letting these guys get away with any and everything without holding them accountable. I haven't been to any of their practices. He may be everyone has a different personality. So there's nothing wrong with being laid back and again, but at the same time, when you have a team for the second year in a row continues to make boneheaded turnovers and play sloppy, I don't care how young they are, and let up on the defensive end from time to time, way too often. Again, it's the same mistakes over and over. So as far as the Rockets, is Silas the guy for this team? I like Mark Jackson. If he would adapt to today's game and let these guys be more free and be more ground and pound. Remember when Mark Jackson played, as great of an assist guy as he was, and he could run and dish it off like the best of them, like the Magic Man. Dish it off to who's on the right wing, who's on the left wing, who's behind me, bam, between the legs. He could do that with the best of them. He could run the floor with the best of them. But, you know, he likes to play a slow it down pace more than anything. His game was really slow it down, pick apart the defense, look over the smaller guards, a more methodical game. But if he could acquiesce to the young talent like a high-flying Jalen Green, Joey Porter, not Joey Porter, I want to talk about him in a second, Joey Porter Jr., Kevin Porter Jr., Sengun in today's game, more open floor, open style, shooting threes. Again, if he can adapt, the great coaches, they adapt. They adapt to the players around them. And they incorporate their scheme and adapt to the players around them and put them in the best position to succeed. But you still can incorporate your values and your morals and the things that you actually, the things that you expect them to do on a night in and night out basis, a day in and day out basis, at practice. You can still lay the foundation by adjusting and still adjust to what those guys do best instead of being selfish and stubborn. And I'm going to stick with this because this is, that's not how it goes. But the Rockets, man, I watched them against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, he put up 42 this game. And I wanted to see last night. And I wanted to see after the game the other night, so they played Minnesota back-to-back. Anthony Edwards went off for 44 that game before that. Of course, the Rockets had like 20-something turnovers. Again, that's what I'm talking about right there. I mean, at some point, you should be improving on that. Giving up wide open shots, uncontested shots, taking too many lulls on the defensive side. And I know a lot of people say, well, young teams, they really don't want to play different. Nah. If you're a great coach, you can get those guys to buy in on defense and at least compete. That's what you want to see them competing. Defense is all about effort. That's where the trepidation comes in with me about Silas, let alone the turnovers. And sometimes the one-on-one play, and they will get that as time goes on. But you have to have those guys locked in every night, competing and playing as smart as possible while still learning and still making mistakes. But the other night against Minnesota, Anthony Edwards went off, 44. You talking about a true superstar right there? Anthony Edwards for the Timberwolves, and we'll talk about the Timberwolves another time when they get Karl Anthony Towns back. But I love their upside. For real. With Gobert, my boy from Old State over there, the lefty. But Anthony Edwards, man, you talking about the real deal. I'm talking about he can shoot it from three, take off from the dotted line like it's nothing, just yamming on folks. From the University of Georgia. I remember another guy from the University of Georgia back in the day when he was playing at the University of Georgia. The human highlight film, Dominique Wilkins. But Anthony Edwards has those kind of hops. Plus he has a floor game. Of course, Dominique did too. But he can shoot the ball, can take it to the rack. He can do it all. A big guard, love his attitude, cocky. And what I've been really impressed with him, from really just watching and paying attention to him, he's passionate about the game. I was wondering how passionate he was about the game, kind of looking at him from afar early on. I knew the talent was there, but he's passionate about the game, loves to play if he's not injured or banged up. But he went off for 44 a couple nights ago. Again, they played back-to-back games as far as they had a day apart, but they were playing in Minnesota the other night, then they played in Houston last night. And I watched Jalen Green that game, and they kind of bottled him up, kind of had an off night. And I said, I want to see, this will really tell me if he's like Kobe or not. I said, because I just watched him. And you could tell he was kind of frustrated, like, just had a bad game. And you could tell it was killing him, like, nah, come on now. Anthony Edwards over here showing us up like this. And I said, this is going to really dictate, because I always thought he had it anyway, that competitive nature, that competitive spirit. Even though a lot of people don't know about the Rockets, a lot of people don't know about him. Former second pick in the draft last season, because the Rockets are just not on the radar right now for a lot of people. So if you're not actually watching the Rockets or you live in Houston, you really don't know how great this guy Jalen Green is going to be unless you watch the highlights from time to time. But I said, I want to see how he comes back and competes the next game. Now by this time, when I watched, because I didn't watch that game in its entirety, so when I watched that game, I had no understanding that they were playing the Timberwolves again until last night when I was looking at the schedule. I'm like, damn, okay, they played the T-Wolves back-to-back like that or in consecutive games. So I said, now I really want to see how Jalen Green, playing against a team that frustrated him like that the other day, I really want to see what kind of competitive nature. And, bro, he really proved to me that he's the next Kobe. Last night, he comes back against the T-Wolves, who frustrated him the other night. He watched Anthony Edwards go off, superstar young talent on the other team. D'Angelo Russell, my boy from Old State over there chipping in, lefty. But he put up 42 last night, like, I'm going to show you the real deal. And I like that he went for 42, just went for 41 a couple of games ago. I told y'all last year at the end of the season, I said he's probably going to average 25 this year. I said he's going to average 25. I don't know what the Rockets are going to look like, but Jalen Green is going to average 25. And I don't, like I said, when I compare him to Kobe, I really must love his game. Because I don't compare no one to the late, great Kobe Bryant if they're not deserving. Or if I don't see it. I just don't say stuff just to be saying it. I don't attach my name to nothing whack. Nothing. But when I tell you Jalen Green comes back with the 42-point effort, it showed me a lot about his heart. They had lost in a victory, as a matter of fact, in a victory. So, hey, man, I like that about that young fella right there. Put your team on your back. We're not losing this game at home. They just clowned us the other night in Minnesota. Dude goes for 44. Great player. He's dunking all over the place. I got hops, too. Crazy hops. Even better hops than that. That's the next Kobe Bryant right there. I'm telling y'all right now. That's the next Kobe on both sides of the ball. Once he really buys in on the defensive side of the ball, he has the athleticism and the competitive nature and spirit to do so. But the talent, oh, man, it's off the chain. So I like watching the Rockets just to see him evolve and see where this young core is headed. But I don't know if Silas is that guy. I just don't know if Silas is that guy. Now, maybe he needs to get on those guys' ass more in practice or something. I don't know. But for them to keep coming out there making the same mistake over and over and having 15, 20-plus turnovers at will, again, like turnovers are going out of style, I mean, he's not doing something. You ain't come out the game. What, they going to knock you out of first place? You knock him out the game? You bring him out the game and sit him down? Is that game that important where it's going to knock you out of first place? Or a playoff standing? Set the tone. Set the culture. Somebody has to be held accountable. They have to know that you're not going to go for that night in and night out. The same mistakes over and over. Dumb basketball. Lack of hustle. Lack of attention to detail. Come on, man. I'm rooting for you, bro. I'm rooting for you, but I got to keep it 100, homeboy. And Coach Silas, I have to keep it 100. I wish you well. I don't want you to be unemployed. But I don't know if this team with that great young talent is for you. I honestly don't. And I think the Rockets should really, really, really start looking for who they think may be the guy to lead this tremendous young core. And again, if they get the number one pick, 7-4 Victor Wembanyama, I mean, game over. Game over. You pair him with Jalen Green and Sengun and those role players and Kevin Porter Jr., come on, man. The Rockets could be very, very, very dangerous. What else is going on? Y'all see where, before I get into this NFL talk, y'all see where, and I was talking about Bama, and I was making a point about Bama because of Bill O'Brien, of course. But I'm looking at Ohio State. They have some sprinkled in there, but they have some players. Their top player is not even in the top 30. That's kind of concerning to me. Usually every year, or at least, well, maybe the top 30. Maybe they are in the top 30. Maybe one. Maybe they had one in the top 30. But usually every year, Ohio State has, top 5, top 10 of any recruiting service. They have a player or two in there. As a whole, their recruiting class is in the top 10, top 5, like always. But I don't see that big-time prospect. But it's up to the coaches to coach them up once they get there. Hey, sometimes the best prospects are the one that nobody really notices. Again, I got my scholarship off one game. Came to the Dome to check us out in the playoffs, and I shined. We actually lost that game, by the way. Everyone looked at us as the team to beat, like the Cowboys, who I never said was the team to beat as far as winning the Super Bowl. Like a lot of people hate on Cowboys fans because they say, well, y'all pick them to go to the Super Bowl every year. I don't. I root for them every year, but I know better. But got my scholarship because I clowned in that game. Game that precluded us from going to state, but I shined. Had the right people there watching. Coach Huey, bam. Next thing you know, that Monday he was at the school. And like I said, when I went to Ohio State, I've lined up against a bunch of 5-star recruits, DBs. Couldn't hold my jock if I put it in their hand. So, but when I look at those boards, I see Ohio State, they have some players in that top 300, but I don't see them as high as I'm usually seeing them. But again, get there, and some of them may shine and play better than most of the guys that's ranked ahead of them. But Bama is always. You look at Colorado right now. Before I move on, look at Deion. Deion is out there clowning at Colorado. Got Cormani McClain, the top defensive back. Speaking of recruits, Cormani McClain from Lakeland High School in Miami, to decommit from the Miami Hurricanes, the school I actually wanted to go to back in the day before the Buckeyes came calling. Miami didn't recruit me. So it worked out even better for me, though, in my opinion, in the grand scheme of things. Got him to decommit from the Miami Hurricanes. Top defensive back in the nation, top cornerback in the nation. Same thing he did last year. Got the top defensive back in the nation, who's also following him to Colorado. So now you have the top 2 cornerbacks from the last 2 high school recruiting classes in the nation manning the corners for the Buffaloes. Now we all know it's going to take a while for Deion. Of course, the transfer portal. Hopefully he's doing things the right way and he's building from the inside out. Of course, we all know championships are won with a dominating offensive line and a dominating defensive line. And I'm sure he realizes that. Deion Sanders is a 2-time Super Bowl champion, a Hall of Famer, the best that ever do it at cornerback. The success you've seen him have at Jackson State, you saw him have at Jackson State. You know he knows what he's doing. So I don't have to tell Deion Sanders to build from the inside out. But as far as the outside, manning those corners, the spot where he made his name, the greatest to ever do it, he has his cornerbacks. But you get you some nice pass rushers and defensive linemen. Of course, everyone would love to have some talent at those spots. But you be very meticulous in your recruiting this season and throughout. Get the top of the top on that defensive line and that offensive line. And everything else will take care of itself. But he already has the top 2 corners, like I said, out of high school the last couple of years. And he's going to continue to nab players because he's Deion Sanders. And I'm sure Deion is doing it the correct way, man. I'm sure Deion is just selling the program, being honest, keeping it 100. He's not offering any money. At least I don't think. Now you have NIL and all that stuff that can cover all that. But it's not like SMU back in the day, the great SMU teams that was paying Eric Dickerson, who I watched in high school, his first couple of years. When my mom first got out of college and she started teaching, her first spot was Sealy High School. We used to go to their games all the time, where Eric Dickerson played. Actually ended up meeting him when I went to Atlanta for that month with the Falcons in camp, and he was there tail end of his career playing for the Falcons. Cooler than a fan, too. ED. I told him, yeah, man, I used to check you out, man, blah, 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 blah. I used to go to your games. Yeah, man, I remember Miss Beatty, blah, 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 blah. But SMU, of course, we don't need to get back. And SMU had a great team back in the day. They bought their team, though. Hey, that's how it was. Y'all know the death penalty that they got with SMU. Eric Dickerson, Craig James, Lance McIlhenny, quarterback, Ron Meyer. You know the story about the car with Eric Dickerson. Eric Dickerson says that SMU did not buy him that car. He was adamant about that fact. That car's in his grandmother's name. I saw an interview not too long ago. I saw a clip not too long ago with Ron Meyer. Ron Meyer, who they got up out of there after he had that great season where they probably should have won a national championship. I think what was it? I think they gave it to Penn State that year. if I'm not mistaken. But ED's, I think 81 or 82. SMU had the best team. Big Jerry Ball over there. They had the best team in the land. Best team in the land. Of course, Eric Dickerson even said as much. He said that he felt fresh because of Craig James, them alternating. That's why he was so fresh when he first got to the NFL. But Ron Meyer said in the interview, he said, we didn't buy Eric that car. We didn't. And he was if you would have seen his face, if you was on the jury, you'd be like, damn, he sounds like he's telling the truth. Now, maybe Eric got that car from somewhere else, but SMU, as much as they did for him, we didn't buy Eric that car. And then he says, we may have kept gas in it, but we didn't buy it. I'm like, okay. Yeah. We didn't buy it, but Eric, hey, just go up to that Shell up the street, man. We got you. Just fill up anytime you need. What's the difference? You should have seen his face. He said, we didn't buy that car. We may have kept gas in it. Oh, well, no shit, Sherlock. I wonder how that went. Hey, Eric, it's a Shell right up the street, man. Just go get unlimited gas. Unlimited. On us. Man, that was funny, man. I almost fell out of my chair laughing. And the way he looked when he said it, too, like they did nothing wrong. They only kept gas in it. We didn't buy that car. Man, kept gas in it. I mean, it's a Shamrock right up the street, ED. Just go on, just put as much as you need in there, man. Supreme, on us. On SMU. We already got it covered for you, bro. But hey, man, I'm sure Deion is doing things the right way. So he's lassoed another great recruit, and I'm sure he's not done. But kudos to Deion, man. Deion is going in there just plucking them like, come here. And when you get him out of Florida like that, when you start building that team in Colorado, when you start getting those guys out of Florida, you know he's going to come to Texas and land a lot of guys, top guys, California, the best of the best in Colorado. It's not going to take them long. It's not going to take them long. And you know Deion has ties to Florida, Texas, and California when he played for the Niners. And just from the mere fact he's Deion Sanders. So, man, Deion is doing this thing. The Bucks come back last night. They beat the Pistons 150-130. The first game back with Middleton back. Of course, Giannis. Bucks are still my team in the East to come out of the East if healthy. Just too loaded. Could play so many different ways. Could play big, could play small. Had an in-between game. Whatever you need. And Giannis is just so dominant. Plus, they have depth. I know the Celtics have something to say about that with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And the Nets, the way they've been playing. The Nets beat Golden State the other night after Golden State had a 17-point lead. Kyrie put up 38, clowning, playing some great basketball. After everybody was saying that he couldn't lead his team since Durant was out, he's turned it up a couple of notches since then. Well, they won a couple. Still not my pick to win it all. Again, the playoffs is a whole different beast in the playoffs. As much as I love KD and as good as the Nets are playing, I love the fact that Kyrie is there night in and night out. He's playing basketball, keeping it to basketball, not doing anything crazy or saying anything crazy to disrupt the flow and the chemistry of what his team is trying to do. But I got to give credit where credit's due. He's playing some damn good basketball. Now, do I think they can beat the Warriors in a 7-game series? No. But I'll say this. Before I get on to football, stay tuned. I'm going to talk. Trust me. I'm going to talk about those bums in Dallas. But the Warriors, again, it's just they're going to have to lock in on the defensive side. And those role players are going to have to get used to playing with Clay and Steph, some of these new role players. Steph just getting back in the fold. They may have to make an acquisition for another big body. Wiseman just hasn't panned out so far. Now, maybe when he comes back from the ankle injury, maybe he may, him sitting out some more, he may learn. Sometimes it's best. I wouldn't be mad if they traded him to the Rockets. Because as much as people want to say that James Wiseman is a bust, I'm not going to go there and say that. Sometimes a change of scenery is probably best. Maybe James Wiseman goes somewhere. Say if you traded him to the Rockets, you put him in center. He doesn't have all these superstars. Now, some people, I'm sure he's learned a lot from Clay, Steph, and Draymond. I'm sure he's learned a lot. But sometimes you may need, like Kuzma with LeBron, sometimes you may need your space to go do your own thing. Maybe Wiseman might be that guy to where he can really elevate his game and take his game to the level that we all know that he can. Maybe a change of scenery may be best for him. Maybe he comes back this season and helps the Golden State Warriors in their quest. But they have to get there. But they have to become more consistent, the Warriors do. They have to become more consistent as far as now it's time for them to hone in. No more excuses now. You let the Nets come back from that 17-point lead because you took your foot off the gas. Oh, it's just regular season. We have 4 rings. They have none. KD is not here. And they bit you. But it doesn't take me to tell a 4-time champ, okay, now it's time to tighten up. You're still going to lose some regular season games. But now it's time to tighten up and really make your push if you're Golden State. I really mean that. But Giannis and the Bucks, let's see how they operate with full health right now. Really looking forward to that. But, hey, let me move on. Let me move on to some NFL. Of course, again, this past weekend, of course, the Bengals over the Bills, 27-10. The Bengals dominated that game, and I'll talk about Kansas City and the Bengals coming up here soon. But I picked the Bills to win that game. But I said, and I did that with some trepidation because Joe Burrow, he's proven time and time again, and I've talked about them ad nauseum, especially toward the latter part of the season as they got red hot toward the end of the season and they went into the playoffs on this tremendous streak. Of course, I always harken back to the fact they actually won the AFC last season. So I picked the Bills playing at home, Josh Allen. It's their time. But it wasn't like I was just dead sure the Bills was going to win that game. Cincinnati dominated that game. And it makes that pick next week even that much more tougher. That much more tougher. I'll talk about that here shortly. But Cincinnati from start to finish dominated. They dominated the first half, led 17-7, and of course dominated the second half. Burrow went 4 for 4 on the opening drive before, of course, connecting with his all-world receiver, Jamar Chase. And that's the thing about the Bengals. They have just as much talent. And Joe Burrow, man, we could talk about all we talk about Mahomes. I love Mahomes. I love watching the Chiefs. They're just good on the eyes. Mahomes, in my opinion, is the best quarterback in the NFL. You know who may be right there with him at number 2? Joe Burrow. I'm talking about running a close second. He doesn't have a Super Bowl ring. He hasn't made it to 5 straight conference championships like Patrick Mahomes. First quarterback to do that before the age of 30 years old. If I'm not mistaken, first or second, I think first. Of course, the Chiefs are the 3rd team to go to 5 straight conference championships. The Raiders in the 70s, Patriots from 2011 to 2018, 5 straight AFC championships, or 5 straight conference championships, Raiders and that's the AFC for both of those squads, actually. And, of course, the Chiefs for all 3 of those squads. But the Bengals, man, I'm talking about Joe Burrow, you're talking about cool and calm under pressure. He just picks you apart. He really reminds me of Joe Montana. Seriously. And Tom Brady. This is not just fodder. This is not me just saying that just to be saying it. Joe Burrow is the real deal and then some. I remember when he was at Ohio State. Of course, we all know what he did at LSU with the national championship. I remember when he was at Ohio State. Before that, spot duty behind J.T. Barrett. I didn't know he was going to be this great. But that's my point. That's to my point. Sometimes a change of scenery, take what you learned from the place that you were at, apply it where you go. Certain things, other things may just open up for you that really gives you a chance to really blossom. But Joe Burrow, with the weaponry that he has over there, the best trio of receivers in the game, T. Higgins, Boyd, and of course Jamar Chase. Then you throw in Hayden Hurst at tight end, Joe Mixon at running back, Samaje Perine, and they sit there and play with 3 new offensive linemen. Everybody has been talking about how bad their offensive line is and how bad they're, and at one point it was. But see, this is what I'm talking about Joe Burrow and his leadership skills, his leadership ability, his cockiness, his arrogance to a degree, in a good way, because it rubs off on his team. They play arrogant, they play cocky, they play with a lot of confidence. All that stems from the attitude and the swagger of Joe Burrow. I mean, man, this guy, he just picked the Bills apart in the snow. In the snow. I mean, come on, man. But a legit run game, Stephon Diggs, he out there crying about not getting the ball. He had 11 targets after the game, which the Bills got dominated in. Of course, you saw him on the sideline going off on Josh Allen. Doesn't move me one bit. Caught up in the heat of the moment. Yeah, you can say, well, he had time to cool down. He made the tweets. I shouldn't be. Okay, whatever. But he's right, though, in the sense that you should be paying more attention to the outcome of that game. He's a wide receiver. He has some diva qualities. A great wide receiver, I might add. But he had 11 targets, only caught, 4 passes? He may have to look himself in the mirror and do a better job of getting open against that underrated Bengals defense who clamped down on the Bills, clamped down on them at home in the snow. The great Josh Allen, leader for the MVP coming into the season. The Bills are going to win it all. Joe Burrow and them went down there. You know they probably already felt disrespected anyway because, and of course, the game that they played when Damar Hamlin had that unfortunate incident occur, cardiac arrest on the field, they were playing against the Bengals that game. The Bengals had made a drive before that game. It was halted, and they were off and running then. But everybody's talking about the Buffalo Bills and pushing the Bengals to the side as if they were not there and that incident that happened on the field didn't affect them as well. And people have disrespected the Bengals. I mean, I've talked great about the Bengals all season, but it's still okay, the Bengals. It's the Bengals. Not anymore, folks. I mean, what they did last week, you thought my antennas were up. Now they're like a German Shepherd. I mean, seriously. They are the real deal, and the Chiefs better be careful. We'll talk about that here soon, especially with some of the injuries that they have over there. But the Bengals are like, y'all don't have to talk about us. We don't have to be no one's favorite every week against the top teams. And Joe Burrow is like, doesn't matter. I'm 3-0 against Mahomes, and I think he's undefeated against Josh Allen. I mean, so what are we talking about here? That's how Joe Burrow feels. A reporter asked him, how long do you think your Super Bowl window is? He said, as long as I'm playing. As long as I'm playing. Not no 1 year, 2 years. Joe Burrow says as long as he's on the field, whether that's 15 years from now, whenever it may be, they have a chance at the Super Bowl. I love that attitude. I love it. He told them to get refunds for that championship game that they thought was probably going to be played at a neutral site because the Bills and the Chiefs were supposed to meet. But, man, I'm talking about – so, yeah, I mean, the Bills went on a 15-play, 75-yard score. But they struggle with the up-tempo. They struggle with the up-tempo. The Bengals struggled with the up-tempo of the Bills for a second. then Zach Taylor and those guys, they got it together. Kudos to Zach Taylor. We're talking about coaches, coach of the year, Zach Taylor, man. The job he's done, that he's been afforded the opportunity of doing in Cincinnati, and he's taken full advantage of it, and I commend him for that. But what about the job he's doing, man? He says in the post game meeting with this team when they're all fired up and stuff, he said there's no other place we'd rather be than playing in Kansas City in the championship game. In other words, he's saying there's no other place they'd rather be than playing in a place where they know they can win. They won last year, for one. They know they can beat anybody anyway. And no other place other than playing on the road where everybody's doubting them, where it's them against the world, and they just come together as one and just do what they have to do. He loves that challenge. And he made sure that he relayed that to his team as well. And I'm sure they're going to be in the same mindset. You got Mike Hilton, Swiss Army knife over there getting things done. They have DBs, Eli Apple, formerly of the Giants, Ohio State Buckeye. Really finding himself over there with the Cincinnati Bengals. Has a chance for a Super Bowl ring. Talking some trash. Former first-round pick. Playing well over there in Cincinnati. I mean, man, you look at some of their players again. Hayden Hurst had 5 catches, 59 yards. They just dominated. I'm talking, again, 3 new offensive linemen did not skip a beat. But again, that shows you that goes to the coaching of Zach Taylor, the motivating factor that Zach Taylor has instilled, and Joe Burrow. People feeling like they have a chance. Joe Burrow just calming everybody down, making them feel, hey, next man up. Let's play ball. I'm at quarterback. We're good. Just do what you have to do. Do the best you can. I got this. That's Joe Burrow, man. That's a bad boy right there. Had backup lineman Jackson Carman at left tackle. I mean, a couple other. But the defense is balling, though, again. Jesse Bates, Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson. Very underrated defense. Got it done against the Bills. And again, Stephon Diggs outburst, that'll die down. That's much to do about nothing. Josh Allen handled it well. He didn't blow back up on him on the sideline. He knew where. That wasn't surprising to him. But Josh Allen did not play a good game. A la Dak Prescott. But he's not receiving that same criticism. Of course, he doesn't play for America's team. But he plays for the team that everyone predicted to go to the Super Bowl. Everyone predicted to be MVP. But he's not under the same vitriol as Dak is. And Dak should be. I'll get to that soon. You listen to the Sports Court. I'm Gregory Beatty. But the Bengals are for real, man. And, they averaged 5.1 yards a carry against the Bills in the snow. Joe Mixon had over 100 yards. That team is for real. Of course, you had the Eagles over the Giants. Jalen Hurts, who I'm probably the only guy in the world, I'm going to say it again, who had been saying coming into this season that, yes, what is all the questions? Why are all the questions about is Jalen Hurts the franchise quarterback for this team? I've been saying, do y'all remember? Of course you don't. Do y'all remember after Carson Wentz got injured when Jalen Hurts came in that first game, his rookie season? And right after that game, he didn't have just this great game, but I saw with my own eyes. I said, that's their quarterback for the next 10 years right there. I just saw the talent. I saw it on display. Do you all remember the show the following, whenever that was, Tuesday? I think I was still doing my show on Tuesdays at that time. I said Carson Wentz should start looking for a new house elsewhere or should think about selling his house in Philly. Remember when I said that? That was after Jalen Hurts' first game. First game. He only started 4 games, I think, his rookie year. I said, it's time for Carson Wentz to think about selling his house in Philadelphia because he's gone. I saw Jalen Hurts play at Oklahoma. People act like that Oklahoma year was either a fluke or it was all Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley was scheming some things up, had some receivers running open. The guy that was throwing the football was named Jalen Hurts. Transferred from Alabama under the best tutelage ever. High character guy. Super hard worker. But more than anything, super talented. I said, Jalen Hurts is the guy. Oh, well, let's see if he can do this, and let's see if he can do that. Let's see if well, damn, you can say that about anybody. I'm seeing what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that arm talent. I'm seeing a guy that works hard. I'm seeing a guy that's a great leader from H-Town, as a matter of fact. Great character guy. You saw the way he handled the situation in Alabama when they gave the job to Tua. But I saw what he did at Oklahoma. I saw him throwing the football around, learning under Lincoln Riley. People act like that year just didn't even exist, where he damn near won the Heisman. You think he almost won the Heisman because he ran the football for 1,000 yards? It's not no damn Marcus Dupree or Billy Sims. He was a quarterback. Can he do this? Well, let's see if he can do that. Of course, you know with the black quarterbacks, him making it to the NFC Championship game, it's not about how good he is and oh, well, if you look at it, you had Brad Johnson. As long as the team has a great defensive players around him, you can name a few players that made it to the Super Bowl that were not great quarterbacks. Let me ask you this. Would Philly have made it to this point without Jalen Hurts? If they make it to the Super Bowl, would they have made it to the Super Bowl without Jalen Hurts? Case closed. Probably going to be second in MVP running. Come on now, don't play with me. Proud of that boy. Went in there and showed y'all, yeah, I can do all that and then some, especially if you give me some weapons. Name me a Super Bowl quarterback that didn't have any weapons. So you can't blame that on him. But, of course, with the black quarterback, oh, it's the scheme. Oh, he's just a great runner. Look at the team he has around him. All that. Joe Montana had Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Roger Craig, Rathman, Hall of Fame offensive lineman, Hall of Fame DBs, Ronnie Lott, the most noted, Hall of Fame defensive ends, Hall of Fame tight end. Well, Jones, superb tight end. Aikman had Irvin, Emmett, Harper. So I don't want to hear this nonsense about look at the talent he has around him. Tell me a Super Bowl where they didn't have talent around the quarterback on both sides of the ball. And yeah, I'm going to toot my own horn about that. Nobody else going to toot it for me. Nobody else is going to call me up or write in on the show, hey, man, I remember when you said this and said that. Because you're too damn weak, that's why. That's why I toot my own horn sometimes. Because a bunch of lame, punk-ass niggas. Hey, but let me move on, though. Let me move on. But the Eagles, they beat the Giants. Hey, and a great job by the Giants this past season. Daniel Jones, Daniel Jones, he's really looking like a franchise quarterback now. No, you don't want to put too much stock in that last game against a great Eagles team that's loaded everywhere. 15 for 27, 135 yards, 1 interception. Okay. I don't think you disregard his improvement and what Brian Daboll was able to do and getting him to the point he's gotten to finishing off the year. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. He just happened to go into a hostile environment with a great team and a great quarterback. Jalen Hurts, 16-24, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. Dual threat. Both of those guys. Dual threat. Can he do? Well, let's see if he can be accurate. Is that accurate enough for you? The NFC Championship game. Kill me, man. I saw from game 1. I said, Carson Wentz better be looking for a house. Seriously, man. Dallas Goedert showed up. He was a starter of the Eagles offense, actually. 5 catches on all 5 targets for 58 yards and a TD. You look at the DBs, Philly. Hey, Philly is just loaded. Philly is just loaded. On both sides of the football, they're just loaded. But you had the Chiefs over the Jags, 27-20. Of course, Patrick Mahomes injured that ankle late in the first quarter, high ankle sprain. That doesn't bode well for this upcoming Sunday. Talk about that here in a second. But kudos to the Jags for a great season. The Jags hung in there for a while. I mean, the Chiefs jumped out to a 17-10 halftime lead. Thanks to 2 touchdowns from the superstar tight end, Travis Kelce, who just continues to amaze. Total 14 catches, 98 yards, 2 scores. His 10 catches in the first half tied a record for the most in the first half of a playoff game since 1991. Patrick Mahomes, hey, the Bengals better find out where Travis Kelce is. His brother is playing in the NFC Championship game on an offensive line, Jason Kelce, for the Eagles. But Etienne scored on a 4-yard touchdown in the fourth to pull the Jags within three. But then the hobble Mahomes led him back. And kudos to Chad Henne in his 40th year from Michigan. Nah, real talk. Chad Henne is a damn good backup quarterback. I remember like it was yesterday when he was playing in Michigan. But what a great quarterback to have in your back pocket if you're Andy Reid, who didn't want to put Mahomes. They didn't want to risk Mahomes, but Mahomes was like, come on, man, this is the playoffs. This win or go home right here. It was no way Mahomes was going to not finish that ball game unless something was broke. Of course, he had the adrenaline going when he injured that ankle. But Chad Henne marched him on a 98-yard drive. So kudos to Andy Reid for believing in Chad Henne. You had no choice but to put him in. But realizing that he's a veteran who knows the offense. He's been there, done that. And bam. It's like that, man. Chad Henne went and did his thing out there. But the Jags got within 3, but then Mahomes led them on that drive. And then next thing you know, the Jags having 2 turnovers to end the game. Hey, but the Jags play well. They're going to be a team to be reckoned with moving forward. The Chiefs just had too much for them. Mahomes' will to win was just too much. And the Jags were just not on their level, on par with them when it mattered. That's when you get into situations, no matter what sport it is, when experience matters. We talked about Golden State and Memphis last year. And I can go on and on and on. But yeah, turnovers happen. That's a part of the game. But it's a mindset. It's a way of being locked in. It's something about realizing the gravity of the moment. Every play counts. Every possession counts. Protecting the football even that much more. Because there's so much at stake. The stakes are too high. And Jacksonville will learn that. On the fumble and the interception, they'll learn that. I mean, things are going to happen during the playoffs, of course, during any game. I don't care how much experience you have. But they'll learn to be more locked in, and Trevor Lawrence, as far as throwing that interception, maybe next time he would be more locked in and focused on where he's supposed to go with the ball, just making that more locked in, even though he's still going to have turnovers in the playoffs as the years go on. But the Jags have nothing to hang their heads about, and I don't think they are. I think the Jags feel like they had a great season, all things being considered, what they were supposed to be. They picked first in the draft last year. I think the Jags go home. I think they're on vacation feeling damn good. We went and lost to the Chiefs and Mahomes. It was just 27-20 in their place. After Mahomes was matriculating the ball downfield, boys. Remember Hank Stram used to say that? Matriculate the ball downfield, boys. But Mahomes is just too much, man. Mahomes is just too much. Now, this upcoming weekend, you have Mahomes against Joe Burrow. Wow. I'm going to go with the Chiefs again. If Burrow can beat this guy 4 times in a row, not saying it can't happen, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs at home. And I say that with a lot of trepidation. Maybe that's kind of a hard pick like my Cowboys pick was last week. Because to be honest with you, I didn't have no faith in the damn Cowboys last week. I was just having fun. I was just trying to show some confidence in those chumps. Same old with the damn Cowboys. But not only that, I think Mahomes, well, it depends. It depends on how that ankle heals throughout the week. First of all, a high ankle sprain takes a long time to heal. And they cannot let him practice the entire week. He has to be getting treatment, which I'm sure he is, 24 hours a day. Foot propped up. Massages on that ankle. All that. But he's not going to be 100%. Not a week later. He is not going to be 100%. And the Bengals, I'm sure they're going to do some things. They're going to scheme up some stuff where they're going to make him prove that ankle is okay. Now, as good as Jacksonville's defense can be and the way they can fly around with a lot of that young talent they had, that they have on their squad, Mahomes is going to be under more duress in this game from some of the things that the Bengals are going to try to do. Maybe they just rush 3 and drop in the coverage like they did last year. Whatever the case, the Bengals will be up for the task, whatever Andy Reid and the Chiefs throw at them. But I'm going to roll with the Chiefs and Mahomes because they're at home. I know I did that last year too with Burrow. And I'm playing with fire right there, picking against Burrow. Wouldn't surprise me one bit if they won. Not the way they're playing. I'm just keeping it 100. I ain't even playing on both sides of the fence. I'm just keeping it 100. Hey, the show where we keep it 100 100% of the time. 100% of the time. I'm just telling you my true thoughts. To be honest with you, that's a pick'em game. That game is even. Even in Kansas City. Especially with Mahomes being hobbled. But I'm going to have to go with Mahomes. The thing about it, once he takes one, again, he's going to have to heal up fast enough. But if you aggravate that ankle in any way to where you cannot use that scrambling ability, which he probably won't be able to, I'm going to take it upon myself to believe that the Kansas City defense, Spagnuolo, and those young rookies in the secondary moving forward, Kansas City looks good on the defense side of the ball. Chris Jones, I like the speed they play with over there, Justin Reed. I'm going to take it upon myself to think that they're going to have Mahomes back this week and they're going to play at a very high level. I'm not going to say they're going to stop Joe Burrow because I don't see that happening at all. Joe Burrow is a surgeon. But maybe they do enough to harass him, fly around a bit, kind of keep them off kilter, play tough in the run game. Maybe the defense shows up and really helps out Mahomes. I think that's the only way they win, obviously. Defense is going to have to show up. Because Mahomes, one turn or one sudden move on that ankle, you're going to see him hobbling off the field, and then he's going to be a sitting statue back there. And you can't tell me they're not going to dial up some kind of blitz packages and things of that sort to really make him utilize that scrambling ability. But if I just had to pick a team, I go with the Chiefs. I go with the Chiefs because they're playing at home. I think they'll get it done. Again, the defense is going to have to step up. But I'm going to say it, and I'm going to be honest with you once again. This may be my last time in the immediate future picking against Joe Burrow and the Bengals because I love that squad. You heard me say it. I love that squad. I love Joe Burrow, and I respect and love the talent on that team and the way they're coaching that team up. So that's an evenly matched game right there. It really is. It really is. That's an evenly matched game. And the Bengals are saying, I don't know how even it is, and we've won 3 in a row, and their quarterback is hobbled. So the Bengals may differ from my assessment on that as far as it being evenly matched because of Mahomes. But the fact that they're playing at home, again, I'm going to give their defense a chance to come out and prove that they could at least stymie Burrow to a degree, enough to where the Chiefs' offense can get some things done. Of course, the Chiefs are going to have to run the football as well. If you're the Chiefs, you don't want Joe Burrow on the field the same way they don't want Patrick Mahomes on the field, no matter what his condition is with his ankle, because they know the leader and the competitor he is and the talent that he is. The same reason they don't want him on the field, and I'm sure they're going to be giving the Chiefs a dose of Joe Mixon, a lot of Joe Mixon trying to run the football, establish the run game, wear them down, and then let Burrow pick them apart methodically at will, the surgeon that he is. Same thing on the other side. The Chiefs are going to have to establish a run game, keep Joe Burrow off the field. And while you're keeping him off the field, you actually go down and score points. Field goals is not going to do it. TDs is what it's going to take in this game. So, hey, and then the Eagles and the 49ers, I'll talk about that in a second. Talk about them damn Cowboys first. Remember, leading up to Dak Prescott's, and I don't need to go into what exactly happened during the game. The Cowboys lost 19-12. Defense played great. Offense played like shit. Simple as that. Dak played like shit. Garbage. Is that better for you? Bad dog. Roof. That was so unnecessary. Bad dog. Whatever. He played like shit. Dak, you remember a couple of years ago, leading up to the contract talk, me and my boy Eddie was in here. He was talking about how, yeah, it's the going rate right now. Okay, I get it. Okay, it's the going rate. Okay. Well, if Dak Prescott is worth $40 million, Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow worth $100. How's that for your going rate? A year. And I was saying he hasn't done anything. I like Dak Prescott. Great leader. What did I say a couple of weeks ago? He tries to keep everybody at bay. He's tapping them on the helmet. He's saying all the right things in the media. He's showing just great leadership skills. How confident, the confidence that he continues to display. Taking account, being accountable, holding himself accountable. What a great quarterback. What a great leader. It's a bunch of bullshit. How's that? He's a great guy. I'm not denying that. I mean, you would want that instead of him bashing his teammates and throwing his teammates under the bus. I get it. But what did I say a couple of weeks ago? Bro, quit throwing interceptions. Don't come try to smooth it over with me on the sideline. Quit throwing damn interceptions. Then he had the game against Tampa. And even then, I didn't get my hopes up too high. I strictly said it's going to be a whole different ballgame against San Francisco. But I picked them. I was having fun. I wanted to instill some confidence in my Cowboys, Cowboy Nation. I kind of picked that one with my heart. Because I tell you what, I wouldn't bet on the Cowboys if you put a gun to my head. I mean, I don't know. Then again, maybe you put a gun to my head. I'll be forced to bet on them. Could you see somebody putting a gun in your head? Okay, bet 200. Okay. I bet 200 on the Cowboys. Whole time you sitting there saying to yourself with a gun to your head, God damn, I just fucked off $200. Them damn Cowboys. If you want to mess off some money, bet on the Cowboys in the playoff game. Ain't talking about no regular season game. Defense flying around, doing all they can against a rookie quarterback. Dak Prescott, 40 mil. That's why I was saying a few years ago, show me something before you sit up there and demand 40 mil. Oh, where's the going rate? Look what he did in the regular season last year. Look where his team was this. I always said they're empty numbers. Show me in the playoffs. Before you go demanding you're going to be a $40 million quarterback. You go against Tampa, and the inconsistency, let alone what he did toward the latter part of the season or after he comes back from the injury as far as interceptions at will, like interceptions are a damn good thing or something. Come on, man. Dak has to be better. And you know what? The Cowboys offense, and hey, you're not going to hear me get up here and talk about Mike McCarthy should be fired. It's not happening. Same thing I told you about Ryan Day not long ago after the Buckeyes in that game. Well, I thought he coached a damn good game in the playoffs. It's not happening here. I haven't read anything on Twitter, all that stuff. That's not me. I formulate my own opinions. And I think Mike McCarthy, I have nothing bad to say about Mike McCarthy. Now, you can talk about some time management or something. You know, people want to talk about that's Kellen Moore at the end of the game, the last play. That last play wasn't going anywhere. I mean, it wasn't going anywhere anyway. Stop it. People want to harp on the last play. Yeah, it was dumb the way it happened. But that play, I mean, if you're going to put everything on the last play, that play wasn't happening anyway. I mean, so now did that just highlight how incompetent the Cowboys were on offense throughout the game? Yeah. But that last play stuff is overrated. Just like the damn, what's his name? Mark Sanchez butt fumble. So damn overrated. People talk about that play like it's the funniest blooper in the world. It's not even that funny. People run into their own players all the time. So that last play stuff with the Cowboys, the last play. The Cowboys, though, Dak Prescott, man, you have to be better, bro. Like the dude as a person, but that doesn't matter. The Cowboys, every single year, it's the same thing over and over. I promise you, I didn't break a sweat that game. And I'm not just saying that. I'm dead serious. I did not break a sweat that game because nothing surprised me. I knew they were going to find a way to lose the game. Period. Even when they went up 9-6. I said, they're going to find a way to lose. That's why I tell my people throughout the year, Cowboys fans, don't get your hearts too invested in the Cowboys. As soon as the playoffs come, they're going to let you down. The defense stepped up, Dak Prescott. I mean, inconsistent as I don't know what. 1 week he's like this. Next week he's like this. Not seeing the field well. 2 crucial interceptions. Crucial. I have to play better. We hear that? I have to play better, blah, blah, blah. Bro, 7 years. He's 30 years old now. We've been hearing that for 7 years about some of these mistakes that he's making in the playoffs or what he is or isn't doing in these big games. He's 30. He's not 23. Come on, bruh. You look at Kellen Moore, he's interviewing for head coaching jobs. He didn't call a great game. Now, when Pollard went out, I knew it was over. I mean, when Pollard went out, even if the Cowboys would have won, they were toast next week against Philly without Pollard. Their most dynamic threat on the offensive side of the ball. Of course, along with CeeDee Lamb. But there's one situation after Pollard went out, was Pollard in? But it was a 2nd and 2, and you have a chance you're moving the ball, and you throw the ball instead of running the ball when you're having success running the ball. It's just dumb stuff like that with the Cowboys. It's just, why are you throwing on 2nd and 2 and you've been having success running the ball? And they didn't get a first down on that drive. That was crucial in the second half. 2nd and 2, run the football, get the first down. You have the best short yardage back in the game in Zeke back there. But you want to be all pretty and throw the football. Offense was putrid. Dak was horrible. Of course, they made some mistakes like they always do. But I never thought the Cowboys were going to win that game. I was hoping they did. I'm not going to lie. I was hoping they did. What did I say before the season started? When I said that Turpin would he would make it to the Pro Bowl as a kick returner. He did. But I still saw too many returns where he should have broken it and taken it all away. It's like, bro, why are you letting the last line of defense stop you? If you're this dynamic kickoff and punt returner. Devin Harrison and Deion didn't let that happen. If you're the last line of defense, you might as well forget about it. Way too many times he would break open. Then it's like, bro, keep outside, man. You got a 100-yard touchdown. But I said all that to say this. I said at the beginning of the season, if you're the Cowboys and you need some help on the offensive side of the ball, use Turpin as a wide receiver. Get him involved some kind of way to add to the offense, to add some explosiveness to the offense. You think Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore decided to do that the entire season? You mean to tell me Turpin could not help them on offense? On a go route? A screen pass, something to keep the defense honest? You never put them on offense. Like you're out there operating with a bunch of all-pros. The only person you really had out there is CeeDee Lamb. They were devoid of talent. You had Pollard and you had Zeke. And you had CeeDee Lamb. Schultz, soft as putty. Damn good talent. Just a soft tight end. Don't want to block. Shies away from contact. Pretty boy tight end. Cowboys need a rugged tight end. I like him as a little third down receiver. Soft as putty. Getting knocked out of bounds, keeping the clock running. Not concentrating, getting both feet down. Lack of cause too cool, too smooth. Want to look like a smooth wide receiver out there. Like you some damn Lynn Swan or some damn body. Get your damn feet in bounds and stay in bounds, man. Get your head in the game. Sick of this nonsense with the Cowboys. Dak waltzes his ass out there and throws 2 crucial interceptions. That's ball game right there. $40 million quarterback. Look more like a $20 million, hell, if that. Get up there and say all this, yeah, whatever, bro. Whatever. Defense came to play. Where was your franchise quarterback? But again, I'm not going to put it on McCarthy. McCarthy had a great season, a damn good season. And just like any other coach, there's some things he would probably want to take back. But you're not going to hear me say fire McCarthy. That's not happening. I don't think it's McCarthy's fault. Dak Prescott. And I'm going to tell you, Jerry Jones, see, that's what I'm saying. People can love you and they can, hey, boy, they can build you up and then they can tear you down just like that. Your own, too. You see, Jerry Jones, as much as he praises Dak Prescott, and as many great things he says about Dak Prescott, no matter what the media is saying about him, no matter what anyone else is saying about him, Jerry Jones always has his back. But as soon as that loss happened, what did Dallas Cowboys tweet? Dak Prescott threw to... They started out the tweet by making sure you know that this tweet coming from the Dallas Cowboys is about Dak Prescott's interceptions and making us lose this game. You see how quick they can throw you under the bus? And they made sure the first 2 words you saw in that tweet so you wouldn't overlook it. The first 2 words in the tweet, Dak Prescott. They didn't put it somewhere in the middle of the tweet to where anyone who wasn't paying really close attention wouldn't notice. They made sure if you just glanced at that tweet, the first two words you saw was Dak and Prescott. But that's Jerry Jones' way of saying, don't start this Mike McCarthy talk. That's not about Mike McCarthy. But that is about the guy that you gave $40 million to. But he made sure he let it be known. And that was his way of showing his frustration with Dak, too. Yeah, go on, tweet it. Tweet it. Put it out there. Put it out there. He was pissed. Paying this dude $40 million to go out there and continue to do that nonsense. I don't care how cool he is. I don't care what great of a guy he is. Who cares? He can get in interviews and he can say, he's very compelling. He's fun to listen to in an interview. You're like, man, this guy's wise beyond his years. You see the way he worded that? Damn, you see the way he said that? You see the way he stated that? Oh, that was so articulate. He loves you to sleep with that nonsense. Quit throwing interceptions. You go out there and you lose to a rookie quarterback. The last pick in the NFL draft. Because you, the $40 million quarterback, could not get the job done. On that play that he threw that second interception, you can't throw that. It's like, what is he looking at? Receivers running open. He's not finding the right receivers. He's throwing here where he shouldn't be throwing. That first interception, it's like, bro, where are you going with the football? On that second interception, now the first interception, Dallas was in their red zone, so of course you set up the 49ers for some points. Second interception, they was in the 49ers, they probably would have scored a touchdown. Or at least that's what we were hoping for as Cowboys fans, or at least a field goal. Maher seemed like he had gotten it together, even though he would have missed that first extra point. But two crucial interceptions, bro. Come on, man. I mean, glad I ain't bet no money on them. I'm serious. I wouldn't bet a dime. Man, damn Cowboys. Boy, didn't surprise me at all. It's almost like when the game ended, I'm like, okay, one less bitch I got to worry about. Get them on out of here. Pitiful. Gosh, dang it, man. Damn Cowboys, boy. But again, it's not surprising. Not surprising whatsoever. But you have, again, just said, okay, we're not going to use Turpin. Gallup wasn't all the way back. Noah Brown, come on, man. Seriously. Ohio State Buckeye. You can't count him as a true legitimate threat on the Super Bowl team. Stop it. T.Y. Hilton, come on, man. He's 60 years old. Yeah, he can show some flashes here and there. And I say that jokingly. I'm sure he feels he can still play at a high level. But he's not the T.Y. Hilton of 10 years ago when he first came into the league. As a wide receiver, he's not that guy, even though he made some plays for the I'm always thinking about the Buckeyes. Buckeye Nation, baby. But he's made some big plays in his tenure here with the Cowboys, a couple of big plays. But come on, man. T.Y. Hilton, Noah Brown, Michael Gallup not getting open. He wasn't all the way back. Played better as the season went on, but he wasn't the Michael Gallup that we'll see next season. Now, what the Cowboys do in the draft, I don't know. But they need a cornerback on the opposite side of Diggs. Diggs running with his eyes closed. Maybe should have intercepted that pass that the great George Kittles, the tight end for the 49ers, that he juggled, and great play by Brock Purdy right there. But Diggs, you have to keep your eyes open, bro, and make a play on that ball. At least dislodge the ball from Kittles. Keep your eyes open. Then he drops an interception. I mean, none of that surprised me with the Cowboys the other day. To be honest with you, it's really kind of comical. And I've said this for the last couple of years. Watching the Cowboys in the playoffs, really, it's not I don't get stressed out over it because I don't expect anything from him, first of all. For two, as much talent as people say they have, wasn't sold on Dak in the playoffs. Wasn't sold on the receiver core other than CeeDee Lamb. Defense, you don't know. I mean, so in the draft, they need a big-time cornerback, a big-time defensive tackle with some beef that can stop the run, plug up a hole or two here and there. And also, you have some linebackers that's going to Van Der Esch is a free agent. Who else? Who the Cowboys have, man? Let me see. The Cowboys have some free agents. Anthony Brown is going to be a free agent at cornerback. He's all right. He was playing well before he got hurt. Cowboys. Anthony Brown, unrestricted free agents. Anthony Brown, Leighton Van Der Esch, Noah Brown, Connor McGovern, Dalton Schultz, and Jonathan Hankins. But they need a big-time cornerback, defensive tackle, another big-time receiver, maybe get the receiver from Tennessee, maybe Jalen Hyatt in the second round or something. You're going to have to get a legitimate threat to go opposite CeeDee Lamb. Quit making like CeeDee Lamb. The Cowboys had all this weaponry on the offensive side of the ball. CeeDee Lamb was really the only true receiver that you can count on. But they didn't stand a chance next week without Pollard. Now, of course, you would have loved to have seen them even give it a shot, even though he got hurt. But once Pollard went down, I said they're probably going to lose anyway and definitely not going to win next week without Pollard. Because you really have nothing. You won't use Turpin on offense. Another piece that can be dynamic for you. I said when the season started, use him on offense. It's like the Cowboys just completely went against the grain. And that's why they're actually sitting at home. That's just one reason, in my opinion. Now, you might say, Turpin wasn't going to make. Man, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Because they had nobody else that really scared you. The 49ers are rugged. They are rugged. DeMeco Ryans, who's probably going to be a head coach. He's not probably. He is going to be a head coach next year for some team. Great defensive coordinator, former player. But that team, Philly against the 49ers, wow. I'm going to go with Philly. They're playing at home. And just like I said on the last game, wouldn't surprise me if the 49ers won, of course. Of course, it wouldn't surprise anyone. They're both playing in the NFC Championship and an AFC Championship. But both of these games are so evenly matched, in my opinion. The Eagles are not the Cowboys, though. We talked about Jalen Hurts, but the weapons that he has around him in the run game as well. You look at Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders. And I seen a mock draft where they're talking about, because they have somebody else's pick in the first round, the Eagles, where they have Bijan Robinson slated to go to the – no. That will be illegal. If the Eagles are able to get Bijan Robinson, that will be illegal to go along with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert. Man, but Boston Scott, 5'6", low to the ground. Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell. Hey, man, the Eagles have so much depth to it. It's just crazy. Offensive line, great offensive line, great receivers, great defense, can rush the quarterback. So this is an evenly matched game, but I'm going to go with the Eagles because they're playing at home, and I just think they're going to have more to offer from a scheme standpoint as far as keeping San Francisco off balance with the running exploits of Jalen Hurts and his passing exploits and the ground game that they can employ. 3 legitimate running backs, as tough and physical as San Francisco is. Maybe this is the game where the rookie quarterback falters a bit. He didn't have a great game, Brock Purdy. He didn't have a great game against Dallas, but he did enough. He made the necessary plays. I almost messed him up when he threw that pass before half where he was smart enough to make sure he got it out before once they had 0.1 second left on the clock. And he got a field goal out of that. That was heads up, but that was almost devastating for them as well. So maybe he learns from that. Maybe he's better for it in the next game. But of course, he will be under even more pressure with Philadelphia. And I think Philadelphia is just going to have more to offer on the offensive side of the ball to get past San Francisco. Now, do I care who wins any of these games? No. Really don't. I just really want to watch some good games. I want to watch 2 great championship games. I don't care. Okay, this team won, but I didn't pick this team. I don't care. That's how the business goes. You win some, you lose some. Both of these games are pretty much pick-ems anyway. 2 evenly matched games. But I go with KC and I go with Philly. Have my fingers crossed in both of those. But I just want to I want to see 2 great games. That's what I want to see. And I'm pretty sure that I will see 2 great games. For real, for real. Anything basketball y'all want me to talk about? Luka for the Mavs, my favorite player, having an MVP type season, but the Mavs, they need some help for Luka, of course. What else? I mean, I can sit here and talk basketball. You saw Sacramento last night. I talked basketball earlier with the Rockets. You saw Sacramento last night beat the Grizzlies. Sacramento is legit, like I said last. Hey, remember before last season? Before last season. The year before that, when I was saying be on the lookout for Memphis. Remember when I kept saying that? John's rookie year, before they really started ascending, and before last season when they took off. Remember I kept saying look out for Memphis? You saw what they did. Same thing about Sacramento. Sacramento, Mike Brown has those guys playing on the offensive side of the ball too, and he's noted as a defensive coach. But De'Aaron Fox and those guys, whoo, they're legit, and they're deep. They're legit, and they're deep. They come with players off the bench, so it's not like a couple of players and then that's it. They can come at you with a myriad of players. Sacramento is real. I talked about the Bucks, of course the Celtics, of course the Nets are still waiting on KD. The Lakers, we'll see when Anthony Davis gets back. They just got a trade. They just conducted a trade to get Hachimura. They conducted a trade to get Hachimura. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Let me see if I can find that on here. I was looking at Dick Vitale the other day. I just had a quote in here. He said, I remember Dick, oh, you can't teach that. Are you serious? Let me see. Hachimura. I think his name is Louis Hachimura. A couple other tidbits real quick. Just some hockey for you. Connor McDavid, fastest to 40 goals in 48 games in NHL history. Superstar Connor McDavid. We'll see if he can get the Edmonton Oilers a Stanley Cup. They used to win Stanley Cups all the time with Wayne Gretzky back in the day. Connor McDavid is that type of talent. But, yeah, they got Hachimura. What else real quick? Be on the lookout boxing. Be on the lookout for this guy, Jared Big Baby Anderson, the next true heavyweight champion. Hey, this guy here is special. From Toledo, Ohio. Actually lives in Houston, trains in Houston. Jared Big Baby Anderson. I think he's like 13-0 with 13 KOs right now. Legit. Reminds me of Larry Holmes, a young Larry Holmes. But he can throw. He can throw him. When I tell you he's the next true legitimate heavyweight superstar. 23 years old. Jared Big Baby Anderson. Y'all be on the lookout for him. Google him. Hard hitter. Once he really works on that defense and gets those hands up even more and becomes a better defensive fighter, wow, this guy is going to be special. And I'll talk some boxing here soon too, and I'll talk some more up-and-coming stars in the boxing ranks. But as far as the heavyweight division, Jared Big Baby Anderson, I'm telling y'all right now, be on the lookout for this guy. But as far as the Lakers and that pick, I mean, and that getting Hachimura in the trade, who can shoot the three, Rui Hachimura. I remember him in college. Did he go to Gonzaga? Nah, but was it Gonzaga? But he was like the ninth pick in the draft. He's a lottery pick. He can help the Lakers. But we'll see when Anthony Davis comes back. Thomas Bryant is balling. Still don't think the Lakers have enough. As great as LeBron. Do I need to go there again? About how great the 38-year-old LeBron is playing? I mean, it's out of control. It's crazy. It's like if LeBron doesn't score 30, you're like, damn, LeBron didn't get 30? Dude is off the chain, man. For real. But we'll see. Zion, I would love to talk about the Pelicans. Zion, you just can't keep him healthy. I mean, dude. They call it the Big Easy. Maybe they mean because big players, the Big Easy, because they get hurt easy. Anthony Davis when he was in New Orleans, and damn Zion. Dude, stay on the floor. Hamstring, toe. I know injuries happen. And he was in tremendous shape. Seemed like he was in tremendous shape. But this is, and a lot of people have been questioning, okay, but can he stay healthy? Can he stay healthy? I thought this was the season. The dude was going to stay healthy more than not. He's back on the shelf with a hamstring for the last 2 weeks, maybe for another 2 weeks, derailing what the Pelicans had going on, waiting to get Brandon Ingram back. They could have a special season. But this dude can't stay healthy. As explosive as he is and as great as he is when he's on the floor, as dominant as he is, you can't count on him. Just like Anthony Davis. So that's why I don't put too much stock in the Lakers no matter what move they make. They may have to make another move at some point because you don't know if Anthony Davis is going to be healthy. For real, for real. Get ready to get out of here. Oh, the UFC's Jamal Hill, look out for him too. Won that belt the other night. Kicking ass and taking names. Light heavyweight, I think he is. I think he's a light heavyweight. Jamal Hill. Is that his name? Yep, Jamal Hill. Talking trash too. He said, what the they gonna say now? Cocky. I like that, especially if you kicking ass. If you just TKO somebody, you can say what the hell you want to say. To go in there and fight like that, think about those UFC guys. That's a brutal sport. Boxing is brutal. But somebody you don't know, you just go beat the hell out of them. Never met before. But I'm about to beat the hell out of you. You ain't never done nothing bad to me. But I'm about to beat your ass. That's how it is in UFC. And boxing too. Wrestling too. That's how it go down. The Hawks, we'll see what the Hawks do in the East. I love Ice Trey. Well, the coldest celebration. I mean cold in a good way. Ice Trey. Yeah. I'll talk about the NFC and the AFC championship games next week. Break down the upcoming Super Bowl. Talk some more NBA. Maybe sprinkle in some baseball. All right. Roof. Roof. Hey, Skrilla. I'm out, man. Hey, see y'all next Tuesday. Already. Let's just live and let live, baby.